All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Neuro Persuasion, your persuasion coach. I'm Wayne Sutton here with my good friend. A lot of times we do interviews and we may say, here's a friend, but I can truly say a good friend, Dr. Jeremy Lopez of Identity Network. And Jeremy, I've known you for over a decade now. I don't know.
It's been years, man. We're getting old.
It's been years. And I will say this for everybody listening, Jeremy's really influenced a lot of even ways I go do life. And so I'm very excited to have you on here. I don't know anybody personally, Jeremy, that has written more books than you have. And it's like every book has a new nugget or nuggets that people can pull out of it. And so Synchronicities, I'm excited to talk about that today. And I'm just going to really want to just kind of turn the floor over to you, share, and we'll just talk about your book and what you're doing and how you're reaching people. So
yeah, man, sounds good. Always glad to be here, man. I tell you, I heard you're kicking butt on some things. I hear a lot of great reports about what's going on. I'm like, hey, that's my friend right there. Well, I'll tell you something, Wayne. A couple of years ago, I really got to thinking about just educating myself. We've heard the phrase before, basically, for lack of better words, poor people watch TV, rich people read books, for lack of better words, and you just educate yourself, get in there and just read. And so I got to think all these crazy things are coming up in my spirit for so many years. And I thought, I need to just start writing. And so at the moment, I actually have 74 books out and counting. We actually have 3 full-time editors that work for us here. It's just mind-blowing. And they all come from 3 different worlds. That's what's so cool about it. But I really wanted to just sort of feed information to people that would bring them to a place of like unlimitedness. I can do all things. You can start a business, you can be a manager, you can do whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter if your goal is a janitor or boss. Hey, it doesn't matter. You can do all things. Let's go for it. And so that's sort of what I'm on the bandwagon this season of just a lot of writing. And really, I'm glad today we were discussing about sort of what to talk about. And one of my fairly new books is actually called Synchronicities, which I have in my hand. It's God's Universal Tools. You probably can't see it actually, but it's called Synchronicities. God's Universal.
We'll put the logo down there for everybody to see.
There you go, man. I appreciate it. But pretty much one of the things I feel like I've really heard through so many motivational speakers, from Christianity to spirituality, just to business people alike, is this thing that we call synchronicities. And a lot of us put different words to it, like, the universe is showing me patterns, or I'm seeing signs, I think in the scriptures it says, yeah, exactly. In the scriptures it says things, like, these signs shall follow. And I'm thinking, okay, you know what? Everywhere you turn, you hear words like signs or patterns or whatever. And so I got to diving into this years ago, and I really discovered that, and once again, hey, I'm a Christian, follow Christ, but I also believe that God is God of the universe, like, reigns upon the just and the unjust. So I believe for anyone out there, period, really no matter who they are, I believe there's always little things found in your life. If you just sort of have that eye to see, you can sort of find things around you like, hey man, that I saw the same thing yesterday, or last week I just saw this on a commercial. Why is it popping up again? And I'll give you a great example if I could, Wayne. And this is sort of my one of my food, the candy in the candy store child in me. One of my best friends, actually, who was dynamic, big guy, podcast, really huge into mental health and suicide prevention. Well, unfortunately, he actually committed suicide about 3 weeks ago. And so it's been a really bad struggle with my friends and family. But several friends of mine the past 2 weeks were saying things such as, I don't know why, but like I'm watching this TV show and like his name pops up, or like, I'm walking over here and like I literally hear exact phrase he said, and it's funny how I hear people who passed on, or I hear, I want to apply for this job interview because I feel like I keep on seeing these same numbers or colors or whatever. And so I wanted to write a book on this because I'm a firm believer that really everything around us really is our teacher. There's no principle, I know you've heard it, is, life is our teacher. It really is. And I really believe that things all around us have something to say if we just listen and let it sort of take lead and show us the next sign, to the next sign, to the next sign.
Yeah, and so I think if one thing I tell people in our coaching, those who've coached with me, that we talk about, you can program your mind also to look for that. The reticular activating system, which is basically just the unconscious going, this must be important. And you know, Jeremy, we used to laugh. I remember laughing with you years ago. What was a better car, the BMW or the Mercedes?
Yep.
And yeah, I bought the Mercedes. So I don't even know what you have right now. So
BMW. No, actually, I have a Jag now, but I went from Mercedes to BMW to Jag. So yeah.
Okay, so very good. One of my coaching students just called me and said, Wayne, I just bought a Jaguar. I've been making the most money I've ever made. I had to do it. I'm like, good. But we were joking about that when I bought the Mercedes, here's what was really neat. I saw it everywhere, and everybody's done this. It don't have to be a Mercedes. It can be a Ford Fiesta. You buy that car and you see it everywhere. And that's just the way the brain works.
It does.
It does. And so you can program the mind that way. That means if I wake up with an intention, a decree, a mindset of I'm going to prosper, I'm going to be helpful to someone today, your mind says, okay, who?
Yep.
And finds it. And that's what I think is amazing. If you can recognize it, that's why I love your books, because if you recognize it as a reality, then you can own it instead of just letting it happenstance.
You're so right on it. I'm so with you. And you know, it's funny. I remember we were kids and like my sister and I, we would sit in the car on this long vacation, and it's like, really dumb things, kids do. And it's like, whoever sees a yellow Volkswagen, like
punch buggy. Yeah.
Exactly. And before long, I'm like, why does my arm hurt an hour later? Why are you saying something? But it's true. It is. And you really can program the brain. And I think when I look at life and I think to myself, everything has a definition to it. Everything can lead you into something. Everything has a message for you to listen to, if you think about it. It's like the old saying, if you're looking for demons, you're going to find them under every rock. Life is going to be full of hell for you. If you're looking for the positive, you're going to find positive in your life. I'm a huge law and attraction practitioner and life coach. And so I like to be able to help let people understand that your world will be what you want it to be. Your world can be viewed the way you want it to be seen. And like you said, some people call it, renewing the mind or transformation. But the truth is you can program your mind to see what you really want to see. And the beautiful thing to me about that is what if God is actually out there like mirroring back these same things that we're trying to program our brain with? And we call it vibration, frequency, whatever. But what if it's like, I'm doing this, God's doing this, and we're trying to find these matches. And I believe life is full of matches. I believe for no matter who a person is or what a person is, if you're hungry for something, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to be able to, and here's what I call it. I call it awakened awareness. I think that we have to be awakened within our consciousness to be aware of and program our minds, like you're talking about. What is it I want to focus on? What is it I do not want to focus on? I know we've said this 1,000,000,001 times. I think every motivational speaker has, ran this in the ground, but it's true. What you focus on expands. What you basically don't focus on starves. And that's really the steering wheel of our lives.
It is. And I learned a long time ago that when you can control, when you own it, when you name it, you own it. That's why, again, back to your books. I've always said readers are leaders. You've got to read. You've got to study. And what are you reading? What are you putting up here that you can take? I've got a friend who speed reads, and it's just amazing. I'm like, and he really comprehends it. But he's like, before I speed read something and put it in here, what am I putting in? You got to know what you're putting in, because, again, what you're putting focus on will expand. For my private clients, it's really interesting, Jeremy. We have software that while I'm looking at this Mac right now, I've got people, some don't believe in it. I can prove it, but we've got subliminal messages that pop up on my computer. We've got images that pop up. To the right, we have when I'm exercising, I have my gym in my office. I've got my motivational statements, but I've also got my goals. I always see them. You've got to see them. And so tell me a little more about your book. And you've got a book of the month club. I want you to talk about that in a minute as well. But tell me about Synchronicity, the book, what people can expect from it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, the subtitle of Synchronicity actually is God's Universal Tools, because I believe that we have tools all around us that we can use. And one of the things we talk about in the book is basically, and I'll just sort of give you a little rundown. We talk about everything from colors to numbers to patterns to really know what to look for. And one of the things I really like to sort of share in all my books is I'm not going to tell you your life in the sense of here's how to do it. Step 1, step 2. I'm just, to me, it almost like destroys and sort of diminishes the mind of that person. like, hey, kill your mind, don't think, just follow what I say to do, step one. And so I don't like to do that in my books. What I like to do in my books basically is sort of bring forth an awakening, and then within this one to say, hey, whatever it is you are looking for, or you're imagining, or you're envisioning, hey, let me show you exactly how that will happen in your life, in the sense of what if you entertain the idea. Like one chapter I have in here is called Behold and Become. And I really like that chapter because behold and become are two powerful words, because you think of the word be and you think of, like I am that I am. You think of like the now moment, the beingness. My biggest thing that I share in this book also is you're never becoming anything you're not. You're just awakening to your beingness, and it just sort of transfers over in your becomingness, And it's sort of a tongue twister, but I mean, I'm not becoming anything I'm not already. I am that I am. I'm everything I am now, programmed. I just have to awaken to that, to let it expand and be new to me, But there's nothing new under the sun, right? Because we have everything in us. And so my point being is behold and become means that if I'm in my now moment to be, then what I'm beholding and what I choose to, like you said earlier, sort of to reprogram my brain in what I want to see, then my beingness can hold that, and the attention can hold that vision, hold what I wanted to have sort of unfold in my life, and then my becoming just automatically happens. I mean, the key thing about behold and become is if I can behold something in my consciousness and be in the now moment of beholding that and hold that conscious mind, that mindset, then my becoming just automatically falls into suit. And I think so many people struggle with, we'll say, the protocol of it. They struggle with, the idea of, God says this about my life, or my mom says I'm going to become this one day, or if I can just get out of, law school, I become this. And that's partially true in the natural of actually naturalizing it and seeing it with the natural eye. But the truth is, I'm not becoming something unless I behold it in my conscious mind to say, I'm holding it because it's saturating it to let me prove to me, and really, check this out, and actually manipulating myself to convince myself I am that.
I think manipulation is a word that has a negative connotation.
I know it, man.
Manipulate. If you take a clay, I have a friend who throws clay, makes pottery. That clay has to be manipulated.
Exactly, man.
Has been manipulated. And what you said there, I go back into 2 Corinthians 3:18. My favorite verse in the Bible is from glory to glory. What that means is it's a process. But you are right. I'm not becoming something I'm not. I'm awakening to who I am.
Yeah.
I'm becoming that from a process. And if it's a process, it's not a crisis. As long as you behold.
Exactly.
2 Corinthians 3:18. So that's amazing. That's awesome. And I think too many people, Jeremy, take it in the spiritual sense, but they never apply it in the physical world. That's why we see people that are great believers, devout believers, that just go through a living hell because they don't know how to apply the principles in their everyday life. And you're helping people with that. So that's awesome.
I agree. Well, like you said earlier about the Bible, I mean, it's one of my favorite scriptures is, I have already given you all things that pertain to life and godliness. I mean, he's letting you know right there that you don't need anything. You already have gotten that stuff. It's already been in you. You're already programmed in you. So I think that, when you look at religion versus, let's say, Christianity, you think of every type of religion or tradition always makes you work for it. Like you don't have it, you better get it. You got to pray harder. And I'm thinking it's not by works, guys. But the truth is, if we come into our understanding that I already have it in me, and everything around me, synchronicities, patterns, universe, God is actually aligning everything for me to just behold. And if I can just see it, and like the word hold, if you think about it, if the now moment of the beingness holds that, that intention of this is what's happening, this is what I'm seeing, sort of awakening to in consciousness, then all of a sudden it's like, if I manipulate, like you said earlier, which I'm so glad you brought that out, if I manipulate my brain, it's not negative. I'm bringing forth a convincing act to say, this is what I am, this is what I have. It's like, pardon my language, but it's like, come hell or high water, I'm going to have this thing. I mean, you have to sort of have that push and drive to know that it's in here. In order for me to hold it here, though, I got to see the patterns and the signs that are following me, that are actually encouraging my faith to say, there's another number. There it is again. There it is again. And one thing I love that I think it's so funny, Wayne, is people always say, I don't, it's almost like the old phrase, I don't drink, don't smoke. What do you do? It's like, I don't watch TV. I don't watch commercials. I don't watch television. And I'm like, then you're not watching life, because life, I've seen more things through commercials and television shows. And I'm like, okay, knock, knock, I'm seeing the same phrase. I'm hearing the same name over and over again. So I literally allow life to show me, to help bring me that alignment, but also to show me things that I'm needing to awaken to, that I'm holding within consciousness.
Absolutely. And that's where earlier you talked about convince and come hell or high water. Back to the Bible says, reckon yourself.
Yeah.
To recognize, it means convince yourself.
Yes. Exactly.
And also, I think one of the things I do a lot is ask myself, why is it so easy to, and I'm getting my goal? Why is it? How do I easily become? Because it creates an open loop in the mind. And those who've coached with me, you've heard me talk about this. Any open loop, the mind will feel it. So how does it feel it? You're watching a TV show. You're at the movies. You're out with friends. You're living life, and you hear what is being said that you wouldn't have heard before. Because the unconscious mind says, "Oh, wait a minute. Here's how to make that happen." Literally, while we're doing this interview, I got one of my coaching clients texting me, and he just reached out to. It's so funny. What coincidence, right? He's reached out to a major player, multi-million-dollar player, and he said, "Hey, I've written a book. Any ideas?" And he's like, "Yeah, send it to me. I'll give you." And he said, "It's amazing what you get when you just ask."
That's it, man.
This was one of the biggest things he's been wanting for years. And he said, "If you just ask," and that's it. Ask this, ask the mind, ask the soul. And I do believe, as like you hold that, you're going to find it. Jeremy, you've got so many other books. Do you mind telling us more of what I know you have the books in law of attraction, business, ministry, and I know I believe that all encompasses, but together, but tell us a little more about what you do have.
Yeah, man, sure, no problem. Gosh, I don't know where to start, actually. I actually have, let me tell you this. On our Book of the Month program, we send a book out for all our partners who are on the program. And like our next book coming out here in a couple of days is actually, I usually send a book and a workbook out, sort of intermingle that in a book every month. And so our next is coming out. It's called Universal Laws. Are They Biblical? And I got a workbook with that one. So I help show people, actually sort of bring them down to a place where, once again, there are things that if we listen to, if we sort of abide by, and if we sort of feed into, then our lives should not be that complicated. And there's universal laws that we'll call kingdom laws all around us. And so that's one book coming out, and the workbook. I've got a series actually coming out here. I've got everything from, I'm doing like You Are the Game Changer, about how to sort of jumpstart yourself in business. I have, oh my goodness, one coming out in 2 months from now called Beholding What You've Always Been, which is a really big on your identity. But man, I speak on everything from business, because we actually do, my house family, actually, we flip properties. We have a property business as well. We have condos. We have identity network. And so always we have money, as far as stock market and, investments. And so we're always just flipping something and always putting that energy called money just into something, watching produce. But so I like to, whenever I get something we'll call a revelation, I like to be able to put it down in a book, because I feel like, it's not mine to keep. It's ours to share. And to awaken everybody too. So yeah, man, anything you want, pretty much I've written a book on, hopefully. But.
Yeah. And that's so amazing. And again, here's why I love that. I coach, and I know you do, Jeremy, you've coached a lot of people that said, one day I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
One day. And I'm like, when? Take action, because it's the first sentence, the first chapter outline, whatever it may be. In fact, I've got my next 4 books outlined over here on the same whiteboard along with my other goals, because it's not a goal, it's an action step. And so you've taken massive action. I'm going to post below, obviously, Identity Networks, URL, so people can get in touch with you. I'd highly recommend people grab a hold of his book of the month, look at his other services, products. You've got a lot of different schools, which I love. I know we did one in the past, but you've got schools that you can go through and learn and study. So I'm going to tell everybody, grab a hold of this information, because it is more than just knowledge. It's the application of the knowledge. And I really believe it's just, sometimes, Jeremy, I'll hear something from one person, but it doesn't connect. I hear it from somebody else and it truly connects. And so I think hearing this information And having that monthly is going to be great. So any last thoughts, Jeremy, for our listeners?
Well, I would just say this, because you as a life coach that is really successful at it as well. One of the things I always encourage people to do is, no matter if it's, myself or Wayne, whoever, I really encourage people, the Bible says where two or more gather in my name, you hear, in the counsel of me, there's wisdom, Jesus sent them out in twos. I mean, there's something about numbers. There's something about numbers that we need to pay attention to. And I would say this to you, that the best thing to do is find a good coach. Find a good coach maybe that you feel like is maybe up your alley, someone you want to learn from, because really we all need people. I have a coach. Wayne has a coach. I mean, we all need people that we can get a different perspective from. And I'll just say this real quick. If you think about it, Wayne, we're all programmed to see through our eyes, the way our perception wants to see it, the way we've been programmed to see things, I've never seen this before, while other people maybe have seen it 1,000 times. And so other people's perspective when it deals with life coaches is amazing, because it brings forth an awakening, but it also brings forth a new idea to say, I've never thought of it that way. I've never seen it that way before. So I just want to encourage your audience, hook up with somebody, get a good life coach, get a counselor, somebody that really, like the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. Because if you're going to be successful in business and life and anything, you need something to throw back with somebody else, but you also need to be able to be teachable, but hear some things you never heard before.
Absolutely. And I tell people to come to me. If somebody calls and want to hire me as a coach, Wayne, do you have a coach? Yeah. And I tell people, if you're going to hire a coach, who are they studying under? Who are they mentoring under?
Exactly.
Who are they investing financially into?
Yep.
That's one thing people don't like to talk about in coaching. But you're going to invest financially. If you can't invest, you'll never get back. You've got to give. That's the whole, again, that's another universal law. But Jeremy, I appreciate you being on more than you know. I really do. Guys, again, check out his website. Get on the Book of the Month Club. If you're watching this and this is your first time here at Your Persuasion Coach, I want to say thank you. Share, follow, all that fun stuff. We appreciate it. And you can jump over to yourpersuasioncoach.com and learn more about myself, articles, blogs, podcasts, and so much more. Go out there, make it a great day, and get wealthy doing it.